Hello, everybody. Welcome to the GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports, where every play counts. I'm Grant, and I'm here with my co-host Mason as we get ready to cover the latest news, headlines, and upcoming events going on in the sports world. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see all things GM Sports Report. Mason, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Grant. Got a lot to talk about. How about you?
I'm doing good. We definitely have a lot to get into. So, with that being said, we'll go ahead and dive in, and we'll start how we start out every episode, and that's with our hot take of the week. So, Mason, what is your hot take for this week?
So my hot take is that Drake May has a serious chance of winning MVP this year. He's just putting up insane numbers. He has 2,026 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions so far this year. And so far, I think he's looked like one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he's making the throws when he needs to, and he's winning games. That's probably the most important part. So I'm not too sure exactly what the MVP leader is right now, just because I know there's been a lot of fluctuations with, Baker having a pretty rough game the other week, and then it's a lot ups and downs so far, which is kind of like the Heisman race is right now for college. So I think his name should definitely be top three right now, but yeah, I think he has a serious chance of winning it this year.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think he should definitely be in that conversation right now. Like you said, he's been very consistent, and it seems like he's getting better every week. So I
Hmm.
agree with you there. My hot take of the week is going to be basketball related. I think that VJ Edgecombe is going to win
Hmm.
Rookie of the Year over Cooper Flag. So far this season, it's only a small sample. It's 3 games, but so far he's
Yeah.
averaging 25 points, 6 assists, 5.5 rebounds, and 2 steals so far this season. He's looked unbelievable. When the Heat were in conversations at tanking last year, that's who I really wanted. I was watching a lot of him in March Madness, and I liked him more than I liked Flag. I'm going to be completely
Hmm.
honest. And so far, it's looking like VJ Edgecombe is that guy in this rookie class, but still a ton of season left to go. Cooper Flag might
Hmm.
be significantly better by the end of the year, but for right now, from what I'm seeing, I think VJ Edgecombe's the best rookie so far.
Absolutely.
All right, next thing we're going to go ahead and do is our underdog of the week. So Mason, I'll let you go ahead with that. Who's your underdog?
So my underdog is by no means an underdog on a regular basis, but the numbers he put up is far from what he usually does. So I'm gonna go Aaron Gordon, 50-point game versus the Warriors to start the season. He went 17 for 21 field goal and then 10 for 11 on 3-point. So just insane true shooting percentage, and like you don't see that very often from a guy like him. So huge shout out to Aaron Gordon, and that was an insane performance.
Yeah, that was a crazy game by him. Someone who's known to not really shoot the three too well and
Mhm.
goes out there on opening night and hits 10 of them and only misses one. That's a crazy performance. So that's definitely worth shouting out for underdog. My underdog is also a basketball player. I'm going with Austin Reeves. Since the Luka injury, he's played back-to-back games now, and he had 51 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists on Sunday. And then on Monday last night, he had 41 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. So he's been able to hold the Lakers afloat after losing Luka. And then obviously LeBron's missed the first part of the season too. So
Mhm.
Austin Reeves doing a great job being the number one option right now. So that's my underdog.
Yep.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and slide over to the NFL. We're going to start with our game predictions update. This is where on Instagram and TikTok at GM Sports Report, we post every single game every week and give our predictions. The all time, or not all time, but for this season, the overall record. I am at an 83-37 record, and Mason is at a 77-43 record. This last week, I went 9-4. Mason went 7-6. So that's where we're at right now.
For the record, Grant likes to change my predictions right before the game starts, so I actually would have a much better
Oh,
record.
is
So
that is that now? Is that what it is
yeah.
now?
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll see what happens down the stretch here. But I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'll just leave it at that. Now we're
I
gonna
too.
go
If I
ahead.
was if I was fixing
Oh, okay, okay, all right. All right. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into our 3 takeaways from this last week. So Mason, I'll let you go ahead and start with that.
Yeah, so my first it's not really a takeaway, but just my first impression on the games this week was that the games were very one-sided this week. The closest game was a 1-point game, and that was the Jets actually beating, I think it was the Browns.
Bengals.
Or Bengals, that's right. um, which was it's just crazy. But yeah, that's just
Mhm.
kind of my first thought. And then my first actual takeaway is that Jonathan Taylor and the Colts also like continue to look like or continue to have the best record in football. I will say though that they kind of have had, if you look at the games that they've played, they do have somewhat of an easier schedule than compared to like the Buccaneers and like the Packers and guys like them. But they are making the most of the teams that they're playing. So they are a good football team. They have a bit of a rough schedule coming up. I know they have to play the Niners, the Chiefs, and I think they have Steelers coming up Sunday. So we'll see if they're really worth the having the good record or not. Daniel Jones went 21 for 29, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, another insane week, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Pittman had 95 yards for the touchdown. So that is my first takeaway. Then my second takeaway is Jordan Love with a great game beating his former mentor, Aaron Rodgers, and the Steelers 35-25. Love had 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tucker Kraft, insane game, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Aaron Rodgers, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns. So that was, good to have a good feel good game for the Packers. And uh, that's what the Steelers deserve for wearing those jerseys, in my opinion. So and then my next takeaway, is that Bo Nix and the Broncos with another big win, beating the Cowboys 44-24. Nix had 247 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have an interception though, but J.K. Dobbins 15 touches for or 15 carries for 111 yards, and R.J. Harvey, the rookie out of UCF. 51 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. Look, very good. And then Dak had 188 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So a rough going from him. But Pickens and CeeDee Lamb had both, I think, mid 70 for receiving yards. So yeah, they played pretty well, but just weren't able to do enough to get the win. So those are my 3 takeaways.
Yeah, I like all three of those takeaways. I'll just go ahead and start with mine. I also have the Colts as my first takeaway. I think that they're just
Mm-hmm.
continuing to dominate right now. And this kind of leaves with a question. Should Jonathan Taylor be in the MVP category right now?
I think he definitely should be in talks. It's just if Saquon couldn't win it last year, I don't know like if another running back could. Depending on if he can finish the season strong, how he is. I mean, then yeah, but
Here's
it's
my
just
here's my counter to the if Saquon didn't
touchdowns.
win it, then he shouldn't is the touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor's almost
Yeah,
past Saquon in touchdowns already. So if he's staying
yeah.
at this rate, I mean, it's a like now I get it.
Then
Like with
yeah,
the Eagles' problem last year was they kept doing tush pushes, so that took
tush
away a lot
push.
of
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley's touchdowns. So it's a tricky situation. But for the stat watchers, that overall decide what the MVP is, I think if Jonathan Taylor continues at this rate, getting these touchdowns at
Hmm.
a crazy rate, I think there's a legit case for him. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, my second takeaway is about the Chicago Bears. I just think that it's official. We can say that they missed with Caleb Williams, especially when you could have had a guy like Drake May
Mm,
instead. Now, granted, the Bears have had a decent season. They're 4-3. And Caleb Williams has looked like a decent quarterback, but even when they're winning, it's not like he's having these fantastic, huge, like franchise quarterback games. I don't see that potential from him so far. When you look at a guy like Drake May, who honestly has a way less talented offense surrounding him,
yeah.
having these crazy games, I mean, I just wonder if the Bears are starting to like think maybe we missed out on a franchise quarterback here, but we'll see. Maybe
Hmm.
Caleb Williams will turn it on down the stretch, but that's where I'm at with that right now. And number three, my third takeaway is that Saquon Barkley is back. 14 carries for 150 yards and 2 total touchdowns in last week's game. He's had a very slow start to the season, which hasn't really been talked about by media, but it's true. He hasn't been his normal self, but this last week he kind of had that breakout game. So we'll see what happens from here on out if he continues that.
Yeah. Giants resurge in his career again.
Hmm. All right, that's pretty much going to wrap up the NFL segment. So now we're going to go ahead and slide over to the MLB because we have a World Series to talk about. And boy, did we see a crazy game last night 18 innings in game three. That might be one of the craziest games you'll see in World Series history. Literally the length of 2 full baseball games were played, and then Freddie Freeman with the walk-off home run. I mean, it feels like every postseason run, Freddie Freeman has an iconic moment somewhere, and he hadn't had it yet, but boy, did he have it last night with that walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning. So, Mason, what are your thoughts on the World Series right now? Who do you see winning it? Stuff like that. Let's just have a conversation about the World Series.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did not watch the whole thing.
I didn't either.
I
Okay.
stopped around the 13th inning. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was out at about 12. I'm like, yeah, it should be over soon. The Dodgers will win it.
Yeah,
But it's just first off, I'd like to mention Shohei Ohtani. Um, he went 4 for 4, 2 runs, 2 doubles, and then he got walked 5 times, I believe.
yeah, yep.
So
Got on base
it,
9 times.
that's insane. That's insane. So yeah, shout out to him. He's unbelievable. And then yeah, Freddie Freeman with another walk-off home run. We saw it last year in Game 1 of the World Series, and he shows up when you need him, and it's just insane. So I think that was a big win for the Dodgers, and I could see the series ultimately going 7 the way that game went, and kind of seeing how this series has gone. If anything, it'll be a 6. But I could really see it going 7. So I think the Dodgers will still win, but I think Toronto has really opened up a lot of people's eyes, and yeah, I just think it's going to be a crazy World Series if it hasn't been already. So.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm kind of where you are. This series has been a lot closer than what I thought it was originally gonna be. The Blue Jays have put up a great fight so far. I mean, obviously, if you're playing an 18 inning ball game, you're right there with the team that you're playing against. So, um,
Mhm.
that has surprised me. But I think that this game that was played last night was a huge turning point in the series because it's like
Absolutely.
that is such a battle. An 18 inning game,
Takes
like
the
that's
soul
literally
out of a
two.
team.
Yeah, it's 2 baseball games that you're playing. Like, you're playing
Yeah.
2 games in one
In one
night.
night.
You're going through every pitcher you have, all hands on deck to make sure that, like, you could have a chance to win this game. So it's so draining to lose that game. But then on the
Yeah.
opposite end, it's such a
Like, we're
push,
right there.
for the other
Yeah.
team for momentum. It's such a big push for the Dodgers to win that game. So I still think the Dodgers are gonna win this series. I originally
Mhm.
said in 5 games, but I will push it up to 6 games, and like you said, I can even see it going 7 games. But that's going to be a turning point in the series, I believe. But despite the Blue Jays keeping it close so far, I think the Dodgers are going to end up winning the World Series.
Yeah, I agree.
But man, I hope that these games continue to be as good as what last night
I
was, because
just
that was a classic.
it's like how I wish I was able to watch. I just didn't have the energy.
Yeah,
Being completely honest, I couldn't stay up. Um, but like as a coach and like pitching staff, what do you do? Like we're running out of arms. Like we
yeah,
saw that in the Seattle Toronto game too, where it's like they're starting to run out of guys, and
right.
like you seriously got to think about going into the starters, and I think they
Yep.
did.
Yeah,
So
they
it's just
both got into a couple starters.
yeah, it's insane.
As a manager, it's a fine line that you got to try to balance on, because you want to give your
Mhm.
team a chance to win these games, but you don't want to mess up your chances for future games by throwing certain guys too
Yeah,
many pitches. So it's a very, very hard balancing act to
but
do.
every
But
game matters. It's like
yeah,
it's
yeah, exactly. So that's why I said it's such a draining loss for the Blue Jays to have, because like
yeah,
that took everything to try to even win that
everything.
game. And it took a lot for the Dodgers to win that game too, but
Mhm.
um they won at the end of the day, and now we're up
The
2-1, so we'll
record,
see.
the
Yeah,
record's all that matters.
exactly. So we'll see what happens, and that was just an absolutely crazy game that had to be talked about.
You
So
you got guys that are like going up to bat like 9 to 10 times in a
yeah,
game. It's like,
yeah,
some games at most you only go up 4, and they're
yeah.
doubling that, more than
Hmm.
doubling that. And it's just that takes a lot out of, batters and position players as well.
Yeah,
So it's not just like the pitchers and like these guys are playing a baseball game for almost 4 or 5 hours. So
Yeah, I mean, did you see the clip of I think it was around like the 16th inning they had they were bringing out like trays of fruit to players, like Vladimir Guerrero was getting
oh,
some
I didn't
fruit
see
cuz
that.
like try to give him some natural energy, some food to try to, snack on. It was just crazy. I mean,
God,
it's a classic what just
it's
happened last night. It doesn't happen often,
insane.
so
No.
uh, I'm very interested to see where this World Series will go. Probably by the time of recording next
Mhm.
week, it'll be over, so we'll be able to talk about that in full. We'll see what happens with that. But now we're going to go ahead and slide over to the NBA because the NBA is fully back. And man, there has been some crazy performances to start out this season. So it leaves me with the question: is this one of the craziest starts to NBA season you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, just off record wise, if you look at some of these teams, it's like the Jazz are 2-1 right now. Granted, and a lot of this doesn't matter as far as the long run,
Right.
but starting is big. So 76ers are leading the Atlantic in the East, and they're 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Bulls are 3-0. The Hornets are two
Mm-hmm.
and one. It's like and the Magic, they were East favorites, or one of the East
The one
favorites.
and
Now they're
three.
1-3. So, like Pacers are 0-3. They were just in the finals last year. Granted, they are a much different team, but you don't expect an 0-3 start coming off of a finals appearance. Um,
Right.
and like it's just, and I was right about the Suns as for now. Taking a big step back from start out KD, and you only have Booker to be in there. So, um, it's just there's a lot of things that are going opposite ways than a lot of people have thought. As far as individual performances, I haven't been able to kind of see too many as far as just insane stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna get into a little more later in this episode, but it's wild. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad that you kind of went on to more of the team aspect side of how crazy a
Yeah, yeah.
season start because I'm going to go more into the individual performance side of things. So
Okay.
we'll kind of have that balance now. I also think this is one of the
hmm
craziest starts to a season I've had. I mean, I'm looking at some of these stat lines. Obviously, we had the Aaron Gordon 50-point game, like you said. SGA
Yep.
had a career high 55-point game. Reeves had a 51-point game. So that's 3 50-point games already right now. And then we go into the 40-point games. Luka had two of them with 49 and 43-point games. Wemby had a
Jeez.
40-point game, and he's also off to a fantastic start this season.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm mentioning.
and then Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, and Giannis have also all had 40-point games so far to start this season. So it is just unbelievable. Some of these stat sheets, like 40 points feels like nothing right now with how these games are going. So yeah, I wanted to get into some of the individual players' performances. I'm glad you went into the teams because we can really demonstrate how crazy of a
Yeah,
start this
yeah.
season has been. So yeah. And honestly, with that being said, we'll go ahead segue right into the next thing. Um, who is the team that has kind of caught you by surprise so far?
It's like how bad this team last year did, and like watching them play this year. I watched their first game, and I was like, "This is gonna be a team I watch probably all year," and that's the Spurs. Starting 4-0, Wemby has had MVP potential play, and if he wins the MVP, I will be so happy. Just because you watch this guy, he has no drama with his name. He's just straight up baller. He's a young guy. He can do it all. He's averaging 31 points per game, 14 rebounds, almost 5 blocks per game at a 43% 3-point percentage. And then you have a young guy who won Rookie of the Year, Castle, who had 18 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, and 52 field goal percentage right now. So um, that team is just full of youth. And honestly, I'm really looking at going to an Orlando game when they play there. So they're
Be
an
down.
exciting team, and all right, bet, let's do it. But yeah, it's just they're a fun team to watch, and I'm really looking forward to watching more games. I just hope everyone can stay healthy.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the Spurs team is fantastic to start this year. Wemby's looking like the MVP front runner right now. Like I said, only a
hmm
few games into the season, so that can change. But there's no denying that youth is starting to take over.
Yeah.
And last week I picked them as my sleeper team for the
hmm
West. So I'm very high on them, and like you said, Stephen Castle and Victor Wembanyama have had a great start, but they also have De'Aaron Fox, who has yet to play a game yet, who's
Yeah,
battling an
yeah.
injury right now. And when he gets back into the mix, who knows what this team's going to be like? So I really like that pick that you made. I went with a different team. I went with the Chicago Bulls, who are off to a 3-0 start, just
Mhm.
because I feel like that's really a team no one expected to have as good
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
start. They've looked really good so far. Josh Giddey's continuing his great play that he's left off with after last season. Montez Buzelis has looked good in his second year so far. Vukovic has been a solid big man like he always is. I don't know if you saw, but last night they had 8 guys score double-digit points. So kind of just
Jeez.
an all-around solid team playing right now, and that's without Kobe White. So just a team that's caught me by surprise there. And then I also did go with a negative pick, which was also the Orlando Magic, like you were saying, a team that a lot of people are expecting to come out the gates as one of the favorites in the East. They're 1-3 right now, and they could easily be 0-4 because they're opening night against the Magic. I feel like or against the Heat.
The
Sorry,
Heat.
I feel like the
Yeah.
Heat kind of shot themselves in the foot in that game, and that's the ultimate reason why the Magic ended up winning that game. So that's something to keep an eye on. Granted, I think a lot of it has to do with new players like Desmond Bain, and then also Jalen Suggs, who missed a lot of last year trying to get back into the fold. And then, the balance between Paulo, Franz, and Desmond Bain, like they've never had 3 big options like that in a long
Mhm.
time. So I think it's going to take some time to get used to, but it is interesting to see them start the season so poorly.
Absolutely.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do our last topic, which is who is the player that has caught you by surprise the most so far?
I mean, you mentioned him earlier, and that's VJ Edgecombe. I didn't expect him to, come out the gates like he has. If what's his name, Cooper Flag came out doing this, everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's expected. But for Edgecombe to come out and do this, he dropped 34 in Game 1 versus Boston, and he's averaging 25, 6, and 6 right now. So it's just, Philly looks like they could be a really good team. As far as now, and they still is McCain playing yet? I
Not
don't
yet.
know.
Still
Okay,
battling
so
that
yeah,
surgery he had.
yeah. So they're missing him. I don't think Paul George played the
Yeah, he
first
has yet
night,
to
if
play.
anything. Okay, so and I know Embiid is like dealing with the
On and
whole
off.
but if they want me on short stints, why thing. So they still have a lot of internal stuff going on, and they're still starting off the season very strong. So that's if you're 76ers fan, that's very promising. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to mention. I just think, like, despite how much of a failure these last few years of the 76ers has been, boy, have they hit on their draft picks. I mean,
Hmm.
Tyrese Maxey, Jaron McCain, and VJ Edgecombe, those guys are like superstar potential players. And they have Joel Embiid on top of that. And, whatever's left of Paul George, whatever he's got left in the tank. So they might be a legit threat, but their biggest concern comes with health and the drama, like you
Hmm.
mentioned, that goes on in the locker room. So we'll see what happens with them as the season goes, but definitely off to a great start. And it's mainly because of the rookie VJ Edgecombe. So I like that pick. For my player, I went with Victor Wembanyama on obviously. I expected him to have a big year, but boy, the way he's starting this year is crazy. He's averaging 31 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 blocks per game. He's just a freak athlete, dude. I've never seen someone so
So fun to
lengthy
watch.
move so
So
fast. Like
fun.
he's moving fast out there. He's running faster than some of these guards out here, I feel like. And
And he's
he's
playing much
just
stronger, I think.
yes. It's just crazy how good he's looked so far. You can tell he's touched up on all aspects of his game this last off season. I know everyone's talking about when he was with the
Training with
Monks.
Hakeem.
Training with Hakeem, training with the Monks. He's been putting all the off season grind to the fullest extent. So it's paid off so far, and I'm really excited to watch Victor Wembanyama. They're slowly becoming my favorite team in the West. I think the Rockets are still a
Yeah,
little bit
same.
my favorite team, but the Spurs are right there. So I'm excited to see what
Hmm.
Wemby has in store, and he is the player that's caught me by surprise the most.
Absolutely.
All right.
Do you want to touch up real? I can do like a little college football thing real
Oh yeah,
quick.
go ahead, go for it. We'll go into college football. Mason
So
will take that away.
yeah. So first thing I'd like to mention is LSU firing head coach Brian Kelly, which I think was a little overdue. Um, I personally do not like him as a head coach. He just doesn't seem like a personality kind of guy. Like he's not a player's coach, and it's shown. Indiana looking like one of the best teams in college football right now. Number 2 ranked now. They beat UCLA 56-6, just absolutely dominant. Texas A&M beating LSU to get Brian Kelly fired 49-25. Alabama barely squeezes by South Carolina 29-22. Alabama is now ranked 4. And Vanderbilt beating Missouri 17-10. I think Vandy has really shocked a lot of people. And I mentioned last week Diego Pavia. He's just an exciting guy to watch, and if they can continue to keep racking up wins, I think they can really make it into the playoffs. So, and then another upset is Memphis beating 18th South Florida 34-31. So yeah, just a lot of good games going on, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the season can hold.
Nice. I like it. I agree with all those takes. I've not been watching too much college football lately, so I
Understandable.
don't really have too much to add on. So yeah, that's good stuff.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of GM Sports Report, where every play counts. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be able to see our weekly episodes on all things sports. For additional content, check the description and see links to our Instagram and TikTok account. This is Grant and Mason signing off for now. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you, guys.